Well, I get to steal a few minutes. I've managed to go 20 plus years without getting on the stage, and it's my own dang fault that I'm up here right now. So I was supposed to give this award out yesterday at our safety presentation, and forgot to do so because I got so into the presentation itself. But I get the opportunity to hand out our first annual UDOT Individual Safety Award. As everyone's aware, we started a BBS program about a year ago, and it's showing some great results, and we felt it was appropriate to create an award for an individual who has done a lot of great things from a BBS perspective for the department. And this year, the award winner, and if you could just stand up, you don't need to come up here, we don't need to take pictures. I'll save you that opportunity for later, but this year's award winner is Jake Urey from Region 4. If you could stand up if you're here. Rick, is he here somewhere? All right, I'll bring it to you. Jake, when I called him up, he didn't know he was the only person I interviewed, but he told me, he says, you know, people laugh and joke about this, but they're talking about it. And all we got to do with this, with the BBS and changing our safety culture is to be aware of it, talk about it, and we're starting to see the results. Our lost time accidents have just dropped off the radar, and it's a great thing. So everyone, appreciate what you're doing with BBS. Keep up the good work. And if you joke about it, at least you're talking about it. So thank you.
Our next keynote speaker is Shane Marshall. Shane was named Deputy Director for the department in June 2013. Shane holds a bachelor degree in civil engineering from BYU. Please don't hold that against him. Prior to his appointment, Shane served as the Region 3 Director. In his role, he managed the operations of the transportation system for 6 counties in central Utah. In addition, he directed a construction program that included some great projects such as the I-15 Core and Access Utah County. Prior to his time as Region Director, Shane served as a Region Program Manager and as the Department's Director of Environmental Services. Please help me welcome Shane Marshall.
Thank you. Thank you, Liz. How is everyone today? Great? Thank you. Day 2, Liz and your team still doing a great job, great conference. Tuesday is always the best day, and that's not because I'm up here. It's the best day because you get 3 meals today. So enjoy the day. Come back tonight and make sure you see Stephen Covey. He's always a good time. So yesterday, Carlos got a call from the governor, and I thought, I want to try something like that. Well, I bring out my phone and I start looking for someone to call me, and I figured, I want someone like the governor, but there's no one in my phone that is like the governor. So I go down the list of people, I start calling people saying, hey, can you call me? And they were, no, or who is this? So I got to one name that I thought would give me a call. So let's give it a try.
Are these all your friends from work?
Are we going to do that over?
Ooh, hi everyone! All there to see my little boy speak. I hope your hair's combed.
Looks good, Grandma, thanks. That's my grandma.
I just wanted to take a minute and wish you good luck on your big speech today.
Thanks, Grandma. Tell Grandpa hi.
I love you, sweetie pie. Hope you have a great day.
Thanks, Grandma.
Tell everybody bye.
Tell everyone, bye, Grandma. Almost worked. So obviously, hopefully that's obvious, that's not my grandma. I had to hire a special actor to play my grandma's part because she wouldn't call me back. So I'd like to thank Jake Brown for taking the time to doing that for me. I appreciate it, Jake. He was the one person that would return the phone call. What's a little bit scary about that video is that we recorded that last week. I took it home to show my family, and my 10-year-old now walks around with that voice all the time. Shitty! All the time. This is a bad thing. Don't ever let that happen. And if you ever see my grandma, don't tell her I did that. So the first year I had an opportunity to speak at this conference, I said I had a motto. And I said, I take my job very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously. This speech might be the one thing about my job I take the most serious, but now that I'm slightly less nervous than that first time, I thought I'd have a little fun with it. So I know all of you take your work very seriously, but I hope you're finding opportunities along the way to have a little fun. We want you to find happiness in the job you do here. In fact, you'll notice that happiness and morale are a bit of a theme today. One of my favorite parts as being the deputy director is reading and discussing books each quarter as part of the leadership book series. I really appreciate the opportunity to sit down and talk with all 6 or 8 people that attend. A little while ago, I had an opportunity to read this book called The Happiness Advantage by Sean Aker. In a few months, we'll discuss it at the Leadership Book Series, so you're all welcome to come. The book is full of great research and paradigm-shifting thoughts. But one of the things that caught my eye, caught my attention, and I think that will resonate with all of you, is this. Happy people tend to view a challenge as a puzzle, with nearly infinite solutions rather than one answer with only one path forward and plenty of obstacles. Happy people see possibilities in everything. They don't just limit their thinking by believing there's only one route to success. So yesterday, you heard Carlos talk about innovation, trust, teamwork, and leadership. And you're going to hear me say a bunch of those same ideas. We both believe that those will be the keys to lead us to success and everyone in this room to success. Yesterday, Carlos also talked about the future of transportation. It's full of changes, unknowns, opportunities, and I hope you all are as excited about it as we are. And based on the incredible things I've seen all of you do over the past several years, there's no doubt you are. Henry Ford, when asked how his company had accomplished so much, said this about his employees. He said, I'm looking for a lot of people who have an infinite capacity to not know what can't be done. And I mean this in the best possible way when I say, I'm pretty sure I'm looking at a room full of people who are infinitely unaware of what can't be done. And I'll explain it to you later. And I know, because of the innovation I've seen throughout our entire organization, that all of you are possibilities people. You all come to the table with some crazy ideas at some times, but you carefully explain how and why you're going to make them work. You look for solutions that others wouldn't even contemplate, let alone explore. And as a result, Utah's transportation community is known for pioneering innovations across every sector of our industry. Over the past several years, I've heard so many innovations, it's difficult to count them. And I know there are even more out there that I haven't heard. Almost every single day, Carlos and I learn of something new and innovative that's going on in the transportation industry of Utah. I don't have time to highlight every single one, although I wish I did, because every single one of those is valuable. But today I want to highlight just a couple that capture some of the ideals that we value most. And you'll recognize the emphasis areas in action when you see these videos. Collaboration, quality, transparency, they're all in there. This first innovation really demonstrates the ingenuity our employees face when faced with a challenge. So most of you that are in maintenance know this. When a vehicle hits a concrete barrier along the side of one of our roads, it moves the barrier out of alignment. And our maintenance folks have to go out there with the loader to push it back into place. Well, this past year, Cody Moore in Station 235 asked a pretty simple question. He said, is there a safer, more efficient way of doing this? And from that very simple question, a homemade barrier straightener was born. So let's hear from Cody.
My name's Cody Moore. I'm a Trans Tech 2 at Station 235. We had a barrier installation that we dealt with throughout the winter, throughout the summer, that is always misaligned. And so we was trying to come up with a better way of fixing that without impeding traffic and making it easier on us, less time consuming. It was a little bit difficult because you would have to move one end of the barrier and then go back and move the other end where you just was at. So you'd spend all day going back and forth and redoing the work. It would take us a good day with the loader and traffic control, which shut down traffic quite a bit on US 40. I brought it up to our crew, our foreman, and told him the idea I had, and he was kind of curious, a little bit nervous, but curious about it. And we got funding for it. We purchased the metal. It's a barrier straightener, is what we call it. We definitely will use it right before winter starts, so it makes it better plowing to clear the barrier with snow with the plows. We turned a full day project into less than 2 hours. It just made my job easier. I didn't have to spend all day in the loader. It was a little bit nerve-wracking to see people, slamming on their brakes and almost getting in accidents. We've seen a couple people get rear-ended because of the traffic. It just seemed like a better situation to try and find something that'd work better for us. I take pride in what I do, and so does my crew that we work with. Everybody up there in that area works hard at all the projects we end up doing. I'm pleased that I was able to come up with this idea and have our whole crew join in and be successful at building this and making it work.
Thanks, Cody. That idea was pretty cool. So when Nate and Brian came over and showed that to Carlos and I, it's been a couple months ago, the look on their face was just amazing. They're like, you have to see this video, you have to see this video. And it's just a very simple solution that somebody thought, hey, we can find a better way of doing something, and that's pretty amazing. So our traffic and safety engineers analyze a ton of data. They're trying to discover trends and patterns in our crash history. They're trying to find implementable solutions to help us get to zero fatalities. And it takes a long time stuck behind the computer screen, trying to fight with Excel to find these patterns. Scott Jones knew there was a better way, so let's hear from Scott.
My name is Scott Jones. I'm the safety programs engineer. So part of my job is analyzing data, specifically crash data. And I recognize that our little staff doesn't have the time and resources to provide all the data in a timely manner that is needed at UDOT. So when people are interested in doing an analysis of the safety along a section of roadway to see what improvements could be made, they need to come to us to ask for data and information for analysis. Our safety data wasn't being incorporated into projects as early and as often as it could have been because of the delay in getting information to people. The challenge was then how to get all of that data into the hands of those who could incorporate it into projects. And so we worked with our partners to develop a website where we could distribute that data to everybody that needs it in an intuitive way so that they can interact with it and use it day to day. I'm hoping it allows UDOT employees to focus more on safety and have the information they need to look at safety as a part of their day-to-day jobs. This has the potential to be a game changer for incorporating safety into everything UDOT does. This tool was developed because several smart people saw the data and the potential to visualize the data in a different format. We're hoping as we get this data into the hands of our UDOT employees and our partners, we will continue to find and develop new and innovative ways of using this information.
Give Scott a hand. I'm sure if Scott was standing up here, he would say that was not all him by any means at all. It really does take a team to get an innovation like that going forward, but it really will make a difference in getting us closer to zero. I'm so proud that I got to share these stories with you because they really exemplify the amazing work that is being done in our organization. And we should all be very proud of these accomplishments. And I hope you all take a minute to point out the innovative ideas that are happening in your own groups and your own teams. It's very important that we recognize the importance of them. But I want to share one more thought about innovation with you. Innovation isn't easy, not in any way. It takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of courage on someone's part to do an innovation, something that's innovative. And frankly, it isn't always pretty. If you've ever tried something new, and I'm pretty sure that's everyone in this room, you know it doesn't go perfect on the first try. I recently heard a study about that found young children learning to walk fall on average about 200 times before they're successfully putting one foot in front of the other. And while walking isn't exactly an innovation, it's certainly brand new and very challenging for a small child. And I can remember as being so amazed at my first child learning to walk. In less than a year, she went from not being able to roll over to running all over the house. So, every year, there's something. So as technology continues to advance at an incredible rate of speed, we'll go from crawling to walking in a short period of time. We may stumble, we may lose our balance, and we may find that our curiosity has taken us down a path that created a little bit of a mess. But we won't give up, because it isn't an option just to sit around as the world of transportation hurls by. We'll get a little smarter, we'll get a little stronger, and we'll be more confident every step of the way. And we'll help each other get back on our feet if we ever fall, because there's just too many things to see, too many things to do, and too much time can be wasted just to sit around and be worried about a misplaced step. So I hope you all feel confident in trying new things and sharing new ideas, that even if they're a little bit out there. Carlos talked a bit about this yesterday, but I want to say it again because I don't think it can be said enough. We have a tremendous amount of faith in you, and that's because you make it really easy. It's easy to make those decisions that seem brave when you are all out there researching every single idea, eliminating the risks at them, and then managing all the other risks. I know that when we prepare to tackle a new construction technique, a new traffic solution, or a collaborative project approach, you've done your homework, and we can trust you that it's going to go out right. So keep pushing the boundaries of possibility. We're stepping in a new future with boundaries none of us can even possibly imagine. And really, that should make us the happiest bunch of transportation nerds on the planet. So keep pushing those boundaries. But it isn't just the people in our industry that see the value of your work. The public here in Utah sees it too. In fact, this last year, they gave us a 79% approval rating, which is up almost 5% over last year. So you guessed it, it's that time of year again for the annual Man on the Street interviews, where the public tells us how to run the bus system better. They talk about how cool the bridge moves are, and they can't figure out why we can't coordinate our signals. So let's hear from them. First question we asked is, what is the most important thing UDOT does?
Probably street and road planning and contracting.
Safe roads, I guess. Safe and efficient roads.
I'm a student at the U, so I really enjoy the free tracks rides.
Keep people safe on the roads.
Well, don't they work on our roads? They're amazing. Are you kidding me? They're rock stars. They're our road rock stars for Utah, I think. I've heard. I don't know. I've just witnessed it. I mean, it's hard when you live in a climate where it's like you've got such extremes and such, you've got winter, summer, heat. It's really hard to keep the roads in good construction and good repair, and I think they do a good job. I mean, there's always room for improvement. Don't get me wrong. Always room for improvement. But I think they're doing a pretty good job.
Keep Utah moving.
Have you heard that before?
Probably. Think so.
I think it's providing the track system. I love it. I'm new to the region, and it's fantastic.
Keep the roadways maintained and safe, and get the information out to people, I would say.
So the next question is, when you think of UDOT, what comes to mind?
The building on 2700 West, commuter link.
See, innovation, I think they try a lot of things, and they do stuff that's, like when they build projects, it's kind of cool to see, the way they do bridges and stuff like that. So
The freeway and tracks. I don't know if I'm right, but
Probably the trams, actually. Yeah.
Construction, kind of. Road work.
Construction. Like, since I moved here, like, there's always been some type of construction, and it seems like it's never done. Like, especially when you drive towards the point of the mountain, there's just always construction there since I've moved here, and I feel like it's never going to be done.
Ease of use. Being a new resident, that I know I can get onto one of the highways and I can get to wherever I need to get to quickly and easily. And the signage is really good too.
Road maintenance, road work, construction projects.
Next one is, if you were UDOT, what would you do differently?
I would make sure that you're on like the highest technology, the most cutting edge, whatever surfacing it is, to lead you into the future.
Hey, Matt, well, if I were UDOT, what would I do differently?
I would say if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
maybe communication with the public a little bit better.
If I were UDOT, one thing, I would stop with these stupid, crazy intersections. Let's not try and be innovative. Let's not have a different intersection type at every intersection. Standardize.
All good. Yeah. There's nothing awkward about it. I think everything's pretty smooth flowing.
It's just recycling and being innovative and cutting edge in every aspect of the company, and that's how you make money anyway, and keep your employees happy and keep the bonuses coming in for the employees, not for the upper management, just for the employees.
Yeah, I figured you liked that one. So I'm going to take a minute. We're going to call this Story Time with Shane. I want to tell a little bit about that last guy that wants us to standardize. So when I was in Region 3 several years ago, Kelly Burns, Eric Rasband, and Grant Farnsworth approached us about an innovative intersection design on University Parkway in Provo. They call it a super street. I tried to explain it, but just take my word for it, it was super. It was a perfect solution for the intersection they wanted to put it at. It was just awesome. And I wanted to implement it right then. I'm like, let's build that thing right now. And in my excitement, I'm like, we don't need to stop there. Let's put an innovative solution along the entire corridor. And just think about it. We could have a DDI, a CFI, a through you, a super street. You could even throw in a SPUI. All in this one bionic corridor. And as I daydreamed about this transportation masterpiece, a really inconvenient reality shattered my dreams. So the user, the public, would be driving through 5 different intersection types in less than 5 miles. And even as a hardcore transportation geek that I am, that was a little bit jarring. So imagine the guy in the video who wants us to standardize, trying to drive through a corridor like that. He's got a pretty decent point. So I think as we mature as an organization focused on innovation, we can make sure we understand how those innovations shape the corridor, how they fit into the corridor, how they fit into the big picture. We also should realize how they impact the communities where they're built. So enough of Shane's story time. Let's see some more videos from the public and see what they think about UDOT and innovation. So what do you think about UDOT and
the
innovation?
Bridges. I remember seeing that whole thing on I-80 where it was build them somewhere else and drive them over. And I saw the thing with the asphalt ramp that you're doing somewhere off in the thing. I thought that was pretty cool. So
I like, are they in charge of where they scratch down the top of the road and then reuse that material and then relay the new? I mean, that's brilliant. Where you're not adding any layers on top of it, you're skimming off the top, using that material and then putting it into the road surfacing. It's brilliant.
Intersections and stuff are like on Bangor where they took Bangor and turned it into an overpass. I like those. You can see more of those on Bangor. That'd be cool.
The lights and the flex lanes.
I would say as far as trying to move forward public transportation and projects that keep Utah moving forward and progressing are what would come to mind for me.
You know, I do like the freeway systems with the notifications up, letting you know like the time it takes from one location to the next.
So the next one, how do you think UDOT compares to other DOTs?
I've lived a lot of places that's pretty high. Like Washington, D.C. is a mess. The roads are a mess, and it's fantastic here. So they're doing a pretty good job compared to other metropolitan cities, I would imagine.
I would say they're okay.
Everything I see on the internet says UDOT's doing a killer job, and everybody Bikes it here.
No idea. This is the only state I've lived in.
I would say it's pretty highly ranked, definitely.
Pretty high up there, I would think. So I just got back from Massachusetts and it was kind of a nightmare. So.
Oh, I'm from Minnesota, and Minnesota has a pretty good system too, but I'd have to say Utah's better. So I would probably rank it out of 1 to 10, probably an 8.
It's one of the best of them. Probably a 5-star, I give it.
I think they do a pretty good job.
My impression is they do a very good job.
Last one. How do you think people will get to work in 50 years?
Mass transportation, not as many cars. You know, it's going to be a lot more mass transit.
I would like to see a lot more mass transit in Salt Lake and Utah.
Driverless cars is a big hope for me. I don't want to drive anywhere. I like sitting back, but transit too. I ride tracks a lot, so just that sort of multimodal, whatever works the best way.
Pretty much the same way, but I think there'll be a lot more sort of electric cars or some sort of hybrid. I think petrol, diesel will be null and void. Will be something on cleaner energy, some sort of, you know, hell, even a hot air balloon, I don't know.
Public transportation.
Spaceship. No, I'm just kidding. I think public transportation is going to be a lot bigger.
As fast as things are changing, I wouldn't even venture a guess. Maybe we'll be lucky enough to be in the space age with the Jetsons. I don't know.
Public transportation or bikes.
No, this young generation is a whole different world. Like I think they don't use cars as much. They're happy with bicycles. They're happy with all alternate forms of transportation, I think. That's what I'm seeing. And so roads will always be important, but they need to, include, more bike paths, more of these small, personal, transportation devices.
Oh, I think mass transit.
That last one had to be staged. You see the train in the background? So I joked about the public confusing us with UTA before this started, but it's pretty clear they view public transit as an integral part of a successful transportation system today and in the future. That was pretty obvious from the videos we just watched, and the statewide survey we do every year backed up what we heard in interviews. So you got to see the good with the videos. Now we're going to do some graphs, some charts and graphs. So bear with me. There's only like 60 or 70 of them. And Liz says I have another hour, so we're good. When we asked the public how important they thought integrated transportation is, the survey respondents gave us an average score of 5.97 out of 7. So this is the first year we asked the question, and the response was a strong one. It's the first time I really looked at that graph. We love charts and graphs as an engineer, and so we're so happy about our charts and graphs, we put one data point with a bar graph. We probably could have just put 5.97, but anyway, you get it, it's tall. So just to give you an idea of how tall that is, 4 is considered good, 5 is great, and 6 is pretty much unheard of. So clearly the public thinks that we need to integrate transportation. But we're headed in the right direction when it comes to integrated transportation. For example, we asked the public to rate how accessible the bike lanes are to them. And in 2013, now 3 data points, in 2013 they gave us an average score of 3.5, and this past year it jumped all the way up to 4.6. So we went from to great in just 1 year. That's a pretty big jump. I want to just touch on just a few more from the public survey. And first I want to talk about snow removal. So you can see from the graph that we're just killing it. Well, you all are killing it. I'm not doing a thing, but you guys are killing it when it comes to pushing snow, and we have been for many, many years. The public highly values your effort and clearly believes you're doing a good job. We're above 5 every single year. So make sure you take that back to your sheds and tell the folks that work there, that the public thinks they're doing a good job, we think they're doing a good job, and we appreciate the effort. So we asked the public to share what their rating was for trustworthiness, whether we're trustworthy to make good decisions about transportation. And this past year, they gave us a 5, which is the highest rating they've given us over the last 4 years. So we're heading in the right direction there as well. Carlos mentioned yesterday the benefits of being a transparent organization and how that, coupled with trust, helped to get the gas tax increase this past year. And you can see that from our scores on the question of transparency, they have steadily increased since 2012, gaining almost a half a point over that time frame. So So we're definitely heading in the right direction with transparency as well. So enough about the public. Now let's talk about what you think. So earlier this year, we conducted an internal employee survey where nearly 700 employees responded in the first 2 days. And you compare that to what we did in 2012, when we had 400 employees respond, as it took 2 weeks of, well, begging to get that many responses. I like to think that the increase of response was partly because you all trusted leadership enough to actually listen to what you had to say. And I can tell you without a doubt that the results of the survey do affect change in our organization. Staying over there from now on. So as a result of the 2012 survey, we made some pretty big changes. Carlos touched on these a little bit yesterday. We started a new employee orientation after about 10 years of no onboarding process at all. And while it's not perfect, it's getting better and better every single time. We also implemented the Employee Advisory Council. And like Carlos said yesterday, we've heard a ton of really good insights from our employees. And a lot of good is coming from that. So I'd like to thank those that have been on the committee for the last 18 months and welcome those that are rotated on this past year or this past week. You have big shoes to fill, so I hope you come prepared to shoot questions at us. So it's clear that the results, the changes we made from the first survey didn't solve every problem. We still have a long way to go and improvements to make. But before we dive into those questions, I want to show a few more videos. We did man on the street survey. We did man on the street videos for our public survey, but we wanted to see something different for the internal survey. So we asked some of our leaders some questions. Let's hear what they have to say.
No.
Wow, that's a great question.
Of course not.
I have strong opinions on that, but I'm going to let that question pass.
Sometimes bringing people from outside the organization gives an infusion of new ideas.
I think there are a lot of people that could bring a different perspective.
So I'm pretty sure they weren't talking about me. So I thought I better ask another question. And so let's ask the next question.
And you want me to talk about it on camera?
So you want me to answer that?
Who wrote these questions?
I still wish he was here.
I'm blanking on that one, geez.
Oh my goodness. You know, typically you can't get these guys to stop talking. And I ask one simple question, and that's the help I get. So one last question from them, something I think it's a lot easier. They certainly can answer this question.
Probably when I was first made a director, I went to the town of Marysville, Utah to give a presentation for a commission meeting. And we posted up on the PowerPoint presentation that it was Marysville with an I instead of Ville with an A. And we had a man in overalls jump up in the back of the room and let me know as the newcomer that I needed to know about their towns and know the names. And that was quite an experience for me. Never forgot it.
I got a lot to choose from.
Former director John Nord, when he used to call me by my nickname of Lumpy, it was a little uncomfortable every time he said it.
Probably when I was in maintenance and I was out helping the field crews and we were doing a sign and my pants split. And I didn't realize my pants split, but the gal that was helping me put the sign in knew it immediately.
Replaying the video after the mountain fell down on I-80 20 years later.
Let's give him a hand real quick. Thank you, guys. They did not know what questions we asked or this was going to happen, so I appreciate it. So, all right, let's now, on a serious note, let's talk about the real questions and how you all answered them. Last year, we unveiled our mission and vision statement, so we decided to follow up and see what you had to say about it. Scores were pretty high here, confirming something that we already had a hunch about. So even before we defined our mission in the words, you guys just got it. Really, all we did was describe what you had already been doing for many years. And it's obvious from the way you manage projects, maintain the system, and interact with our partners and stakeholders that you understand the big picture and how the mission fits into it. Next, we asked about the strategic goals. The results of this question held a bit of surprise for me, but clearly you're all dedicated to helping to achieve the three strategic goals. You rated your support very high for all three, which is clearly a primary reason we've been so successful in moving towards them. The part that surprised me about this question, though, was the commentary around zero fatalities. Many of you voiced skepticism about whether zero is a realistic goal. And some of you suggest that we need a more implementable goal, something like a 10 or 25% reduction per year, and that we should feel good about that kind of reduction. I just want to be clear that if your perception is we don't recognize success in small victories, or that anything less than perfection is a failure, then we have not done our job right and communicated to you the appreciation we have for all your hard work. We clearly understand the importance of and acknowledging the value of small wins, so thank you and keep that up. And in fact, over the past several months, the leadership team has worked hard to develop new performance measures that incorporate more than just fatalities. And yesterday, Lumpy, Terry, and Linda spoke in a session about safety, both internal and external. And you'll hear more about that in the months to come. We should and will celebrate every single success as we move towards zero fatalities. But zero is, will, and must remain our goal. Realistic or not, it is the only acceptable goal. One fatality is one fatality too many. So the next question we asked was how do you feel proud about working at UDOT? And overwhelmingly, employers responded they take a great deal of pride in being a UDOT employee. And that pride really comes through in the quality, the leadership, and the hard work I see every day from every employee here at UDOT. But a paradox presented itself with this question. The next one we asked was, how would you rate your morale? And based on the exceptional scores of the pride question, we thought that the how you rate your morale question would be similarly high, but that's not what we found. You can see that the ratings dropped quite a bit. In fact, 29% of employees gave a rating of below a 3, which is considered a negative score. So as I mentioned before, there is still a lot of work to do. And while improving morale requires that leadership do our part, and we're planning a few things that will start immediately, which I'll talk about in a minute, but there'll be more changes to come. It occurred to me, though, that as the deputy director, I wield less influence on morale than many of you. I only have 8 people work directly for me, and many of you have far more direct reports with a greater, more personal sphere of influence. The attitudes, language, and everyday behaviors that we see from our leaders and our teammates, which is everyone here at UDOT, shape morale here. I'm committed to doing my part, and I speak on behalf of the 8 people that work for me that they are committed to doing theirs. Everyone here today is a leader, and as leaders we have an important role to play in developing a culture, the culture that we heard from Coach K yesterday, that we're not just proud of, but that we are excited and happy to be part of. But we'll never be done trying to improve morale. And like any relationship, building trust and cultivating positive feelings is an ongoing process that takes effort, it takes patience, and it takes a willingness to see the good, even through challenges and change. One thing I can do in my role to help is to help provide resources and tools. We value learning and development, leadership and innovation, enough to make a real investment in each and every employee here. That's why this past year we created the Learning and Development Group, with Lori Economy joining the senior team as its director. She and her team are rolling out a program that includes a leadership track to give you the knowledge, the skills to motivate, empower, and engage your team. And another important component of effective leadership is communication. It was very apparent from the comments in the employee survey that there's a desire for more and greater communication pretty much at every level and every part of our organization. So about 2 months ago, you heard from Carlos yesterday that we hired an internal communication manager, Matt Allred. If you know Matt, these are him. This is him, right here. So we hired him to help address the challenge of trying to communicate or improve communication among 1,600 employees located across 100 locations throughout the state. And when you consider the fact that there has been no internal communication plan at our organization, well, there never has. Matt really has his work cut out for him. But change in an organization as large and spread out as ours won't be instant. And even with Matt's help, it probably won't be perfect on the first try. Remember, innovation sometimes is a little bit messy. But it'll take some time to figure out how we're going to do it and do it right. But we are the organization that moved the longest bridge in the Western Hemisphere. We have the best signal system in the country. And even though many of us are engineers who would rather solve a regression equation than talk to one another, we'll figure out how to improve communication. If it takes 200 tries to get it right, we'll keep working on it until we get it right. But we're going to need your help. Keep giving us the feedback we need to make that internal communication successful. So each year, either Carlos and I stand up here and say something like, it's been a very successful year. And then we list all of the things that we believe why it was successful. I want to do something slightly different this year and ask you what you thought success looked like. I knew I would get great responses, which is why I wanted to ask the question, but I got way more than I expected. I wanted to share every single thing I heard, but instead of reading each one word for word, which would take a little bit, I asked those that responded to do a little video. And those videos will be playing on the TV monitors located around the conference center. There's been a little snippet of it already, but after this talk, there'll be the whole discussion. So please take a moment and go check them out. They're pretty cool. It's amazing how we all define successes differently. But for now, I'm just going to share a couple of thoughts. I'm going to read from the card. So Irvin Rhodes, who is an area supervisor in Region 3, said this is how he defines success. Most projects start out with input from the people who we consider our neighbors and friends that bring to our attention ways to make the road safer or better. To be part of that process just feels good. And then from Nathan Peterson, who is a project manager in Region 1, he said, for me, a successful year would be that on the UDOT side, as we sit down and discuss projects, concerns, and issues, that every member on the team has a sense of value and does not feel inhibited to share and contribute. Pretty cool words. So as Carlos described yesterday, there are many of us here that bleed orange. I don't have my socks on, but I thought about it. I know everyone here is that committed to UDOT. Your influence is far more important than you realize. But consider this. There are almost 1,800 of us in this room. 1,800 employees, consultants, contractors, and vendors. And literally thousands more that work on the UDOT team. So individually, we're pretty effective people. Individually, we pull our weight and get things done. But if you think about it, when we all lift together, the power is unbelievable. Yesterday, we heard some of this from Coach K, and he said, in this, not exactly like this, but something similar to this, in order to be successful in a team sport, you have to remember a few key things. First, individual roles need to be clearly defined, and you need to perfect them. And then secondly, you need to develop strategies to take advantage of each of those roles. And if you want to be a winner, you have to know how to leverage both 1 and 2. Andrew Carnegie said, teamwork is the ability to work together toward a common vision, the ability to direct individual accomplishments toward organizational objectives. It is the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. Pretty profound words. I want you to know that UDOT is a team and transportation is a team sport. So tomorrow will bring new challenges for us, for UDOT, for everybody. So perfect your craft, identify your role, and let's continue to deliver Utah the finest transportation system in the country. Thanks.
Thank you, Shane. How was your lunch? Did you miss the turkey? Just asking. So we have sessions starting pretty soon, but we have moved a couple sessions, so I just thought I would announce that we have moved E2, there's 2 of them this afternoon, to 300A, Design Exceptions and Integrated Transport. Please check to make sure that if you're in those sessions that you go to the new room. Thank you so much, Shane, for a very moving speech. Have a good afternoon, and we'll see you tonight at the dinner.